Good morning. Welcome here
to another Sunday morning with Paul
and Angie Wagler
from arisenow.ca.
Yes,
well, we are excited about this Sunday. I guess we're excited about every Sunday, but this is a special one. And if you're wondering why, you better stay tuned.
Right.
But we are delighted to be with you. That's what I usually say.
So we're not telling our news right away then?
No.
Okay.
Keep them hanging.
We just finished a 2-week series on the fruit of Thanksgiving over the Canadian Thanksgiving. We're here in Canada. And
we called it Thanksgiving leftovers last week.
Because there was a few fruits that we never quite got to.
On the actual Thanksgiving day.
Right.
So. Yes, but today we're going to start a new series that's related to something that's exciting, and that is this. It's the launch of my new book this weekend. It's called 5 Healthy Habits of the Heart.
5 Healthy Habits of the Heart.
Practical principles to revolutionize your life.
Right, and so this is the paperback version.
Yeah.
There also is a hardcover as well. It's available on Amazon.com.
For those who live in Canada, you can go to arisenow.ca
right.
And get this book there. And we'll maybe put the link in the comments.
Yeah.
Or go to our website, arisenow.ca, because
right.
It would all be there.
So now we're starting a little bit of a series that we're going to just touch a little bit on some of the themes that are in this book, because healthy habits, well, that just sounds nice.
It does. It does sound nice. You know, and as I began to, this is really, I guess it's really a lifelong work in some ways, because when you write something down or give a sermon, it flows out of all of the life that you've lived to this point. And so in writing this, it's really, there's a lot of stories in here that come from the various stages of my life, from young on all the way up until recently. And so I just know that how much these things that I write about in this book have transformed me.
Right.
And the healthy habits that I've developed in my heart. And so that's why I'm so excited, Angie, to share this book with others, because I want to invite other people into the same journey and to experience that same kind of transformation in their hearts. Because it's incredible as we work at developing these healthy habits, and we follow the Lord in the process and draw closer to Him, and follow His Word. There's a lot of biblical wisdom in here, a lot of verses from the Proverbs and other places in the Bible.
Right, and one of the verses that I really think ties in really well with your book is the one from Proverbs, and you would have to tell me what the actual, is it
4:23.
4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life.
Yes, or some translations say, for all of everything you do flows from it. But
yes.
That's the idea that
the life heart flows from it. Yeah.
Yes, the heart is very important. But Angie, before we get into that verse, I just wanted to highlight a few things about habits. Okay.
Sure.
And so habits are so important because we all have them, and oftentimes we don't really stop to think about them, because we maybe just are just like, well, I know I have some bad habits, but I'm just not going to think about them, right? But we want to encourage us to think about the bad habits we have and the good habits we have, all of them, and then to intentionally work at developing more good ones. But we all have them. What is a habit? A habit is a recurring pattern of behavior, often unconscious, that is developed through frequent repetition. And it's something that we all do over and over and over again until we just do it without even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's a habit. It's something that just happens in our life because we've done it so often. And now it's part of who we are. And I want to suggest to you that if we are still alive and breathing on this earth, that we can change the habits that we have no matter how old we are. Because sometimes people will say, well, you know, as we get a little bit older in life and they realize, well, I've got some bad habits, but you know, the saying that goes is you can't teach an old dog a new trick. Well, let me just say that may be true of dogs, but it's not true of humans. Right. So let's not partner with that lie that we can't work of bringing change into our life, changing our habits. We can learn new tricks, so to speak. We can learn new
A
habits.
few years ago, you did a 2-minute wake-up call on that with our dog.
I did.
Yeah, you
Well,
said, "Oh, Lady," I'm not going to call you an old dog, but Lady just had a birthday this week. And she is kind of getting up there now. She's 10.
yeah, she's 10.
So-
Well, so in dog years, that would make her maybe an older dog, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we can learn new habits. And then one of the quotes that really stuck out to me as I was preparing and writing this book was from an author named James Clear, and I have a couple of his quotes that I really like. And he's the author of a New York Times best-selling book called Atomic Habits. And he says this. He says, "Every choice we make is a vote for the person we want to become." And so you're just like, oh, haven't really thought of every choice that I make all day long is a vote for the person I want to become. And so I invite you to think about, what kind of person do you want to become? And, if you're at sort of the stage in our life, we might think, well, this is the person I have become. Well, that is true, but we can still, like I said, always change. We're always becoming, we're always growing, we're always becoming something, right? And so we want to shape that into a positive direction. We want to go in a direction that we are thankful for in the end, and not be like, oh, why did I end up here, right? So every choice we make is a vote for the person we want to become. And so that's why it is so important that we develop these healthy habits of our heart. And so Angie, you mentioned that verse about above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. And so that verse is referring to our heart, not in terms of in the physical sense. We all have this organ that's in our chest that's pumping right now and is distributing blood throughout our body, and it's what's keeping us alive, right? Mm-hmm. And there are healthy habits that relate to that heart, right? And if you Google this phrase, healthy habits of the heart, you probably will find lots out about that heart, right? But what I'm talking about is the heart that the scripture refers to often, and it's when we refer to what we refer to when we say something like, "Oh, Angie, I love you with all of my heart." And I'm not referring to my physical heart, right? I'm referring to the core of my being, the seat of my mind, will, and emotions. It's sort of the core of who I am. It's the inner part of me that I love you with everything that is within me. And so we can have healthy habits in that heart, and we can develop them, and we can develop them by doing them over and over again. And a lot of this is related to the thought patterns, right? It's learning to think in new ways. And how do you develop new thought habits? It's by thinking new thoughts and thinking them regularly. I mean, this connects in with the whole series we've done in the past called intentional thinking, right? Thinking with a purpose, for a purpose,
and on purpose.
Right, right. And so that's the kind of heart that I'm talking about. It's the core of our being, the center of who we are, and everything that we do flows out of that. So that's why Solomon in Proverbs chapter 4, which is, I love it, Angie, if maybe you want to read starting in verse 20, and we'll just make a few comments about the verses leading up to that one that you read. So read Proverbs 4, verse 20 to 23.
My son, pay attention to what I say. Listen closely to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to a man's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life.
Yeah, I love this. In this section in Proverbs, in the earlier chapters of Proverbs, Solomon is appealing to his son numerous times. In this one he says, "My son, pay attention to my words." At the beginning of Proverbs chapter 3, he says, "My son, do not forget my commands. Keep them within your heart." The center, the core of who you are. And so here he says, do not forget my words, keep them within your sight. And then he says, for they are life to those who find them and health to a person's whole body. And, Angie, last week when we were talking on Thanksgiving leftovers, we were talking about the power of gratitude and the equal and opposite power of grumbling and complaining, right?
Murmuring.
Yeah.
Grumbling, murmuring.
Rumbling. We said grumble. Grumble is like
It sounds like you're. Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah, it's an onomatopoeia, which is it's a word that sounds like what it is.
Yeah.
And so those things that we were talking about, that connects in with what Solomon is saying here. Is like if we take the words and the wisdom that Solomon gives us and the wisdom of all of Scripture and we apply it to our lives, which is kind of what we're trying to talk about every week when we do this Sunday morning with Paul and Angie,
right.
is that we want to live the wisdom of Scripture and that it actually will affect our whole body. It brings health and nourishment. In Proverbs chapter 3, verses 7 and 8, it says, do not be wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Mm-hmm. And so these are the things, the promises in Scripture, right? If we develop healthy habits related to the wisdom that is given us in the Scriptures, it's going to affect our physical bodies. So we're talking about our heart being the core of who we are, the seat of our emotions, and developing healthy habits there. But that actually, Angie, I believe is going to affect our physical hearts in a positive way. It's going to, another place in Proverbs, he says it's going to prolong our life. And so we want to develop these habits and live them well and learn from the wisdom in Scripture. And then it goes on and it tells us, but above all else, guard your heart. Take care of it. Pay attention to it. Develop healthy habits in it, I think is what he's saying. Because everything that you do in life flows from your heart. I mean, Jesus tells us in numerous places in the Gospels, but I think the one is in Luke 6, maybe 45 or around there, where he says, it's not what comes out of your mouth or what goes into your body that makes you unclean, but it's what comes out. And he says, and then he says, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of, right? Yeah. So that emphasizes this part of that we want to take care of our hearts. Mm-hmm. We want to guard them. We want to be careful what goes into them because we're going to speak what our heart is full of. So we want to pay close attention to that. There's lots of things I talk about in the book, and we're just going to highlight a few of them here to kind of hopefully whet your appetite so that you'll want to dive in and read this for yourself. But one of the other quotes that I came across about habits that has been really challenging for me as I was writing this book is another one by James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, and he says this. He says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And so you're like, oh, that's interesting. Because we all have goals. We all have things that we hope to achieve. That sort of happens regularly on New Year's Day, right? As the end of a year, we take stock of our life and we're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm kind of struggling in this area, physically or financially or spiritually or, in all of these different things. And then we're just like, okay, I'm gonna have this goal. I'm gonna, whatever it is, you name it. And then, but we know that more often than not, those goals aren't reached when we make these New Year's resolutions. Sometimes it works, but the reason why it works or it doesn't work is not because the goal was bad. It's because we didn't establish the systems or the habits. That's another word we could use there. We didn't establish the habits that would help us fulfill the goal. So the whole idea that we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So I invite you to think of that quote in terms of your own life. Like, what have been some of the goals that you have had that you have seen yourself fall short of? and then think through of, well, did I work at establishing habits or put systems in place, processes in place that would help me,
Like, how will I get there?
Yeah.
Like, this is what my goal is. How am I going to get there? It's kind of this term, reverse engineering. It's like, to get to this place, what steps do you need to put in place to be able to achieve that goal?
Right.
Right? It just doesn't happen by saying, I'm just going to do it. I guess it depends on what it is. You know, if the goal is, I'm going to go running every morning, well, you're going to go running every morning. Well, what do you need to do to go running every morning? You need to have a good pair of shoes. You need to set your alarm. You need to have the motivation to do it too.
And you need to be willing to do it when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Because, that's one of the things, Angie, that I realized benefited me when we were mountain bike racing, is that when I knew I had races coming up, I would go out and go do training rides on my bike in weather that wasn't very nice, or when I felt tired or whatever, just because I knew that I needed to train. And so that I built habits, I developed systems that would help me have good results on race day. And so the interesting thing I found out when I did some studying about habits, there's a wide variety of thoughts out there as to how long it takes a habit to form. Because remember what I said, the definition of a habit, it's a recurring pattern of behavior, often unconscious, that is acquired through frequent repetition. And so how long does it take to develop a habit? Well, some of the things I've read said that it can take, I think it could be formed in as little as 21 days or some number around there fairly quickly. And some said it could take as long as 235 days. It was a large number. And I was like, well, I don't know how you come up with that. Because I want to just share from my own personal experience. I have developed some habits that in my life that I still have, that I would say came really quickly. And one of them was a number of years ago, I was at the dentist, okay? And the hygienist who was taking care of my teeth, cleaning them that day, she kind of put a bit of the fear of God in me, shall we say, about my teeth and the lack of care I was giving them. And she kind of read me the riot act, that all those expressions that go with that, about that if I didn't start flossing, because I hadn't really been flossing my teeth at that point, if I didn't start flossing, I was going to have some serious problems with my gums. And I was like, oh dear. And so you know what? I think from that day forward, I've rarely missed a day that I haven't flossed my teeth. And so I would say that a habit there developed really quickly. Now on the other extreme, when
you're not going to share that. If you want to hear all the stories, you're going to have to get the book.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to tell the story, but I have in the book, there's a story of a habit that took me many years to form.
Right.
And I would say maybe 20 years or more until I could say that I really have a healthy habit on that one. And so, yeah, there's a wide range of it, right? The point is, Angie, that we want to be diligent. We want to keep working at it. And every choice we make is a vote for the person we want to become. So every small choice, it's all these little steps that get us where we want to go on the journey, right? It's like when I set off in the morning to either ride my bike to work or walk to work, I don't get there with the first pedal stroke or the first step, right? Mm-hmm. I need to just keep taking more steps, one step at a time, and boom, all of a sudden, I'm at work. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same in life, right? It's the choices that we make every day that are going to help the healthy habits to develop in our heart. Mm-hmm. And we want to be diligent with that. And in that process, we're guarding our heart. We're working at building good habits and good systems in our life that are taking care of the heart, the core of our being, the seat of our emotions, the center and the core of who we are, and that good things can flow out of that. That is the desire of my heart. It's been the journey that I've been on. And you know what, Angie? This book, as I've said, is a story of how these things have transformed my life. But I want to tell you that the journey is not over, right? I'm still in the process of transformation, because we never really finish. We never get to the point where we say, you know what, I think I've got it now. I'm transformed and I'm the person I want to be. Well, no, we're always on a journey of growing, because when we get to a certain point, maybe it's reaching a goal, we're just like, oh, there's more. Because, the older we get, I've realized that there's so much more I don't know. And there's so much more room to grow than what I ever realized. And so we're on this journey to keep growing and to keep learning. And that keeps us going.
You're right. So I want to encourage you to go on and order your copy so that you have it. And then we're going to touch on a few of these chapters and expound a little bit more the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're going to get into the specifics of what the 5 healthy habits are.
That's right.
We didn't say that today.
And we're not. We're not going to say what all they are, but order your book, follow along, read your chapters.
Yes, and if you really want to know what the 5 healthy habits are, you can go on Amazon and you can see right there.
Right.
You can see the list of them there. So go check it out. And we were just so excited to share this with you, and trust that it's going to bring a lot of encouragement to many people.
Yes. Well, I think we're going to bring it to a close today.
Yeah.
And well, I think we're going to bring it to a close today.
Yes, let's do that, Angie. And until we meet again,
stay awake
and stay alert.
Thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up, follow, and subscribe. You can now get Paul Wegler's new book, 5 Healthy Habits of the Heart, available on Amazon. Arise Now and Paul and Angie Wegler are part of the E3 Canada family. Consider partnering with us through prayer and financial support to touch more people with the powerful message of God's love, hope, and transforming power. You can find us at arisenow.ca.